Hi everybody, my name is Maxim. Welcome to our live stream. I work here in Dublin as a monetization specialist.
Hi, I'm Olivia, and I also work alongside Max as a partner manager here at Google in Dublin as well.
So we are very glad to have you here on our live stream regarding dynamic allocation. I think everybody's joining in, so we'll give a few minutes for everybody to get their coffee, tea, whatever you drink, and we'll start in a few minutes. Once again, welcome to our live stream. Today, Olivia is going to talk about a very important function in our product called DoubleClick for Publisher, which is called Dynamic Allocation. And more importantly, how to maximize your revenue with this function. So we'll cover the following topics. Generally, we'll explain what is dynamic allocation. Then we'll explain how does dynamic allocation work and what are the key benefits of it. And then we'll go through a bit of practice and explain how to set up dynamic allocation, how to see its reporting, and answer some of your questions. You received an email in the beginning with the link where you can submit your questions. As well, you can do it on the homepage of our website. So please submit them. We'll be happy to answer everything you're interested in.
Perfect. Okay, well, thanks for that, Max. So let's kick off in understanding what is dynamic allocation. So dynamic allocation is a process that allows unsold impressions in DFP to compete or to be purchased by AdSense buyers at the best price without compromising your reservations or guaranteed inventory. So as a publisher, you may be managing inventory from multiple sources, whether that be directly sold ads, third-party ad networks, or AdSense. So because of this dynamic allocation, this is a key feature of using DFP. It allows AdSense to compete in real time with your non-guaranteed inventory in order to deliver the highest paying ad available. But it also ensures that any unfilled impressions are filled by AdSense buyers with the aim to make the most money per every impression. So when setting up your ads in DFP, you can specify certain rules like when, where, and to whom your ads will appear. You also specify how much you expect each of those ads to pay you and the time that ad is served. So when a user visits your site, DFP looks at all the ads eligible to run on that page and then selects an ad based on the rules you've specified. So for example, if you've got an ad from 3 ad networks eligible to be displayed on your site, and you've set up DFP so that these ad networks compete based on a CPM, then the ad server will show the highest CPM available. So if in the past, these networks have been able to pay CPMs of, say, £2, £1.75 and £1.50, then DFP will select the ad valued at the £2 CPM. When dynamic allocation then is enabled, AdSense now has the opportunity to compete against this £2 CPM ad. So just to reiterate, with dynamic allocation, when DFP receives impressions, it can turn to AdSense to help them fill them. So when certain impressions are considered particularly valuable to AdSense buyers, DFP can take advantage of this demand whilst still respecting orders which were sold directly. This therefore maximizes value to advertisers and revenue to publishers. So let's take a look at this example. So in order to understand how dynamic allocation works in practice, we'll take Susan, our example publisher. So she's grown in both size and complexity and is now using DFP as her ad management platform. When she first started using DFP, she was restricted to hard-coding AdSense and third-party networks like Network A on her website, and this is shown on the left-hand side of the image. This guaranteed certain placements to AdSense and certain placements to Network A. In the image, Susan is hard-coding AdSense. This means that she's running individual AdSense code directly on her page, and Network A, the same, running Network A's individual code directly on the page. So AdSense and Ad Network A are therefore not in direct competition for these slots. So one of the main benefits of using DFP and its dynamic allocation feature therefore allows AdSense to compete in real time with third-party networks such as Ad Network A for all the slots. So with dynamic allocation, Susan only needs to implement DFP ad code on her pages. She needs to enable dynamic allocation in her DFP interface, and AdSense will compete in real time for third-party networks, as shown on the image on the right. But it's important to note that those booked network rates, so the eCPMs, don't necessarily reflect real-time performance from a network, but rather an average from their historical performance. So for the purposes of understanding how to create a line item, whether with one of your direct advertisers or a third-party ad network, you assign the eCPM or the value to that line item. So with a direct advertiser, it's more often than not that the price they've agreed to pay you. So this is just to be included for reporting purposes. However, for the third-party ad network, it's the average eCPM or the rate that you have been paid out by the network over some period of time for that specific ad tag they've given you. So therefore, when calculating the eCPM, check the CPM that your third-party ad network is achieving as well as the fill rate. And you can find the fill rate in your third-party ad network's account. So you take the CPM times the fill rate, plus also take into account the passback and the value of the passback CPM. So it'd be this passback CPM times that fill rate. For best practices, when running third-party networks, we recommend running them at price priority. But why is this? So running at network priority, there is a delivery goal of a certain percentage of impressions. So you're guaranteeing to allocate, say, 50% of your unsold impressions to Network A over the course of, say, a month. But when running a bulk priority, there's also a delivery goal of a certain number of impressions. So the bulk priority line items have an impression goal. However, because the inventory for the bulk line items isn't guaranteed, the impression goal functions more like an impression cap. So it limits the number of impressions that can be delivered in a given time frame. So when we guarantee a specific amount of impressions to third-party networks, it reduces the ability to enable a fair competition. However, when running at price priority, there is no delivery goal, meaning no one is guaranteed any impressions. So instead, the network that's chosen to serve the ad is the network willing to pay the highest price for each impression. This does then enable competition, which allows the publisher to make the most money possible on every non-guaranteed impression. And another good practice is to ensure that you add frequency caps. So when creating the line item, this will then prevent the user from seeing the same ad multiple times and hence preventing the ad losing its value.
I would also add here that it's a good practice to update your value CPM from time to time. You know, the more frequently you do it, the better for your performance, so that the competition stays accurate.
Yeah, no, completely right. Thanks for that, Max. So if we look at now the key benefits, so the first key benefit is revenue uplift. So Google will only serve the impression when it can offer a better price compared to other line items. So in order for dynamic allocation to work most effectively, like Max said, it's important that the value CPM that you enter is as accurate as possible so that Google buyers will compete at this value CPM you enter on the non-guaranteed ads. The second benefit is real-time CPMs. So as we mentioned before, you get real-time bids from Google that automatically compete for your inventory on a non-guaranteed line item that haven't reached their goals. The third is fill rate. So because Google has the largest pool of advertisers, it has one of the highest fill rates in the industry. Another benefit is backfill. So publishers can earn additional revenue on impressions that would otherwise go unfilled. Now, this is especially important when a line item has been set up as a guaranteed, because the ad network may not always fill the impressions. So rather than leaving them unfilled, it's much better to allow an AdSense buyer to bid on the ad. However, the key here is to limit the amount of backfill, because due to latency and loss of targeting information on the passback, this then impacts the impression and hence results in a much lower CPM. And then the final being low maintenance. So as you don't have to update any rates for Google, you can take the approach of set it and forget it. So instead, you can use the time to focus on your content. So there are two ways that you can enable dynamic allocation on your DFP interface. The first, you would enable AdSense backfill within each of your inventory ad unit settings. And the second, you would create AdSense line items. Today, we're going to discuss the first method. So what we're going to do now is take you through how you would implement that on your DFP account. So in order to enable this dynamic allocation at an ad unit level, you'd first need to log into your DFP account. You then need to select the inventory tab, which is at the top. After doing this, you would select expand, which is at the bottom of all your ad units, in order to see all your ads. Once you've done this, if you select in the status box, status is all of active, and then you would check on the right-hand side that every ad unit is enabled for AdSense. If the enabled for AdSense column is yes, great, then dynamic allocation is currently active for that ad unit. If the enabled for AdSense column is no, then click on that individual ad unit name on the left-hand side. You then need to scroll down to see the settings for that ad unit. So the ad unit inventory settings will read as disabled. So here, click on edit. You'll then need to click the box that says maximize revenue of unsold and remnant inventory with AdSense and save your selection. You'll then need to repeat this process for all ad units that show no for enabled for AdSense. So how do you see it in reporting? Okay, so again, go back into your DFP account and go to reports on the top column. You then need to select system queries, which is underneath queries on the left-hand side. And then in order to see the report, select opportunity report. You can type opportunity report into name the query, and then you can leave all of the settings as is. And then you can add additional metrics such as the eCPM that we talked about, the CTR and the revenue. Then you'd save and run. So this report shows you the dynamic allocation opportunity at an ad unit level broken down by day. So the two things that you should look for is the dynamic allocation saturation rate. So ideally, as it says, you want this number to be 100% so that you know that dynamic allocation is enabled for all of your ad units. You also look for dynamic allocation match rate, as this number may vary, but this will give you a good idea of the coverage or the fill rate of AdSense when it's competing through dynamic allocation.
I would also add here regarding the reporting that this is not the only way to look at dynamic allocation. You can also look at on a line item level or any other level that you can create depending on the data that you want. DFP gives you a lot of different instruments, to compile your reports. So just look for the right metrics that you want to see.
Yeah, no, perfect. Okay, so that brings us now to the end of our presentation. So what we're going to do is we'll allow the rest of the time for a Q&A. So we'll take a short break to allow you time to submit your questions, and we'll be back with you shortly to answer them. Thanks again.
Thank you for your patience. We looked through the questions that you submitted and ready to go through them. So the first question comes from Brian. Brian asks, if I enable dynamic allocation, will AdSense override my direct deals?
So no, direct deals will always get priority, and dynamic allocation protects the delivery of guaranteed line items. So AdSense will only serve occasionally if your direct deals are pacing ahead of schedule, and it can fill at a similar CPM.
Yeah, it definitely won't damage the performance of your direct deals. So let's go to the second question.
Perfect. Okay, so next question is from Alan, and Alan is asking, how should I set up my direct deals and my other ad networks?
Right. So when we talk about direct deals, we talk about, most of the time we talk about guaranteed inventory. And for guaranteed inventory, we recommend to use either standard or sponsorship line item type. The difference I would say between those two would be that for sponsorship, you mainly use for some period of time, and standard would be better if you have an impressions goal that you need to achieve. If you are not in a direct deal with advertiser and you want your networks to compete, we call this inventory non-guaranteed, and we have different line item types for non-guaranteed inventory. So the one we would recommend most would be the price priority, since it allows you to put the value CPM for the network that you have and allow AdSense to compete and try to maximize your CPM for this particular impression. So Olivia also mentioned network during the presentation, but the price priority would be the main line item type we recommend.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so the third question comes from Jessica. Can I exclude certain units or pages from dynamic allocation?
So yeah, so I guess there may be times when you don't want AdSense to show on particular ad units. You might have policy concerns, or you might want to reserve some inventory exclusive for, say, your house ads. So we recommend here creating separate ad units for that specific inventory that you don't want to fill with AdSense. So you would create, say, a unit called 300 by 250 mobile, no AdSense for these non-compliant or ineligible units. And then make sure that the backfill with AdSense is disabled.
Right.
But if you're running an AdSense run of network line item, then we recommend excluding specific units from targeting. But you can have a look at the appendix for additional details.
Yeah, so we'll send the presentation after the live stream, and you'll be able to look through appendix. It's just it's important to mention there is also a way to set up dynamic allocation on line item level, but this is a limited function and not available to every single publisher.
Okay, so next question comes from Marion, and she's asking, my AdSense CPMs seem low. What could be causing this?
Well, so generally AdSense can compete for different impressions, high-value impressions and low-value impressions. However, AdSense is used in a lot of times as passback or backfill solution because of its just ability of the network to fill high quality and lower value impressions that otherwise wouldn't be filled by other networks. So this can lead to the average eCPMs to be low. I would say that's the main reason, but generally you can also check impressions and see that for different ad units and different placements, they can be high. For example, AdSense served 15 million impressions and the average CPM in the yield report is $1, which seems low, but this doesn't mean that AdSense competed at $1 every time. It may have served 5 million impressions at $2 CPM, but another 10 million passback impressions at a 50-cent CPM. So that's where we get the average.
Yeah, that's great. And like we were saying before with the passbacks, it's important to limit the amount of passbacks because as shown in the example here, the CPMs that you're going to generate on the passback are much lower than the ones that are competing in real time.
Definitely, yeah. All right, I think we have the last question here, and that's the question we receive a lot of times, which is, who's my account manager? Olivia.
Okay, so yeah, so AdSense and DoubleClick for publishers are intended to be self-service products. So we have a limited support team, but we do our best to proactively reach out and provide optimization tips and best practices.
Right.
So if you are interested in staying on top of product updates and announcements, I'd say be sure that you're opted in to marketing emails in your AdSense account settings, and that you leverage AdSense and our DFP help centers, because they're fantastic.
Yeah.
And you can also learn more by visiting DoubleClick for Publisher University.
Yeah, they actually have, I myself studied them, the university, because they have amazing video courses and like step-by-step YouTube guides, very useful. But also stay tuned, optimization specialist might contact you and offer you some optimization tips, or you will receive an email where you will be able to sign up for those. So definitely use this opportunity. I think, let me check if we have any more questions. Let's see. Yeah, so we also have a question from Christophs. Is there any way possible to set this up for 2 networks plus Google? I set different CPM price for the ad networks using price priority type. Then probably between the 2, the one with higher price would always win over the other one. Yeah, so actually you can set it up with as many networks as possible.
Yep.
So basically it will work that everything that you set up in price priority or network or any other non-guaranteed line item type, they won't have any priority of each other. And the value CPM will always be compared. And also AdSense will provide its CPM, and the highest one will win the impression. So basically the competition will happen between all of the networks that you've set up, and the maximum price will win. So it's
yeah, and I'd say on that as well, if you are using the price priority type, make sure that you're regularly going in to update the CPM, just to make sure that it's always accurate.
Right. Yeah, so that was the last question. Thank you very much for tuning in today. We'll send the deck with appendix and different materials on how to set up dynamic allocation. If you're interested, also sign up for the Publisher University, sign up for the marketing offers and optimization consultations, and we'll see you next time.
Perfect. Yeah. Thanks again.
Bye-bye.
Bye.